ready to rumble? Me pants on your fucking balls. Fucking hell. Some fucking shit, fucking face. Some fucking shit, fucking face. Some fucking shit, fucking face. Oh fuck, I've just ripped my pants on your fucking balls. Fucking hell. Some fucking shit, fucking face. Some fucking shit, fucking face. Shit, fucking face.
We started dancing and love put us into a groove.
Fucking hell.
As soon as we started to move. The music played while our bodies displayed through the dance.
Fucking hell.
And love picked us up for romance.
Yeah, fucking beat.
I thought it was clear the plan was we would share this feeling just between ourselves. But when the music changed, the plan was rearranged. You went to dance with someone else.
Yeah, fucking beat. Fucking hell.
We started dancing and love put us into a groove.
Fucking hell.
And now he's with somebody new.
Fucking hell.
What does love want me to do?
Yeah, fucking beat.
Let the music play. You won't get away. Just keep grooving and he'll come back to you again. You won't get away. This groove again. No, he won't leave again. No. Let the music play. You won't get away. Just keep grooving and he'll come back to you again. You won't get away. This groove again. No, he won't leave again. No.
With one turn of that wheel, you could be Lee, Atherton, Agfold, or fucking even the Caribbean with the rat twist. 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 Yeah, fucking beat. Fucking hell. Good evening, and now you can see why I don't have a musical career. A special evening tonight. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm going to be talking to an actual American person from New York. I've never spoke to anyone from New York before. I'm very excited to do this. We've got 20 people watching this shit. Shortly, he's backstage now. He's pumped up. He's doing his material. He's talking in the mirror. He's practicing his microphone techniques. We've got Joe Pontillo from New York. A real New York person is going to be on this screen talking to me live via satellite, via the internet. Can you believe that? I am so excited. Who else is excited? Scott from Blackpool. Hello. Tracy Nicklin. Good evening. Bobby Truth. David Ike fan. 20 people are watching this shit. Can you believe that? We've got 20 people watching this shit. I'm excited. He's primed. He's pumped. He's ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, please will you welcome to the virtual stage, Mr. Joe Pontillo.
Oh, wow. 20 people. Let's see how fast we can make that go down. Ah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. I feel slightly embarrassed. My fans are a bit shit, and they're not very supportive.
Dude, 20 people. That's a big crowd in New York these days. So don't worry about it.
It's kind of like a big house party, isn't it? Imagine we're at a house party in the kitchen, just talking shit. Joe Pontillo, sure. I've followed you on a while. I know you through Will Devaky's, and I'm a big fan. I've wanted this to happen for a long time. I've been excited all day just to speak to you. You know what I mean? And now I'm actually speaking to Mr. Joe Pontillo, an American funny man. So tell me. Right, New York. We have visions of the Bronx, Goodfellas, all these. What was it like growing up in New York? Was it this kind of like? Were you running numbers as a child? Or?
God, I wish I was running numbers. I'd probably be living in a much better place right now. I wonder if it's too late to do that. Actually, I would like. The mob is not what it was, unfortunately, in the 80s and the 90s. But I think we're due for a comeback.
So was it like we all playing baseball in the streets and all that kind of shit? And I don't know, did you all wear white vests and things? And you know, and I don't know
White tank tops. We all had paper routes, competing ugly paper routes. Yeah, playing baseball in the street, whatever. Whatever. Not even actual bats and balls. You know, even though we could afford them, we thought it was more authentic if we would use like a broomstick and a rock or
I like that.
paper.
So, are you from a big family or small? What's your family? Have you got lots of brothers and sisters? I'm just trying to get a picture of Joe Pontillo, the man, the myth.
Oh, I've got two sisters, and you know, my parents, and then no, we're not that big of a family. In fact, I feel like we disassociate with more people each year, so we're down to like 8 people.
That's not too bad. Was you a so the journey into comedy? No. Was you a traditional class clown? What drew you to comedy? What age did you get into comedy? Was it later in life? Was it younger in life?
Yeah, I always wanted to be in entertainment. So, you know, I wanted to create stuff, and I was funny. I guess I was a little shy. I was not officially the class clown, but I did kind of roast the class clown in like our senior year. You know, write a shout out, and I was like, whoever the guy that was, I just wrote, he's not funny at all, and that got printed. So, and I'm a comedian, and you know, he's just some regular guy with a family. So it's all about the long game. I feel like I won that one. So it all tracks back to Seinfeld. I blame Seinfeld for everything. You know, I got really into his TV show when I was growing up, and I was like, oh well, how did Seinfeld do it? And then I watched his like A&E biography. Said he did stand-up comedy. And I was like, there we go. And 20 years later, I kind of hate that guy now.
What age did you first tread the boards? What age did you first get on stage?
So I tried it one time when I was 19, and it was the most hilarious disaster you could possibly imagine. You want to hear the story?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in college, and Dave Chappelle was coming to perform at the school, and some idiot at the school decided, hey, why don't we have a comedy contest to see who's the funniest student? And they'll open for Dave Chappelle, which, you know, would he have agreed to that? I'd like to think not. I don't think he was like, please find a student who has never done stand-up to perform in front of me, but whatever. So like 30 students did this, and you know, it was awful. Like a whole crowd came of people came, and everybody sucked. Some kid told a really offensive joke, and somebody threw a bagel at him on stage, so it got ugly. And then I got up there, and you know, I was funny, but like I didn't write anything. I was just like, I'm just gonna riff. And I go up there and I just kind of ramble for like a few minutes and get no laughs. And then for some reason I decide I'm going to fart into the microphone. I was like, this is how I'm going to get this crowd. And I was so like, you know, frazzled. I put the mic to my behind and then made a fart noise with my mouth, which obviously no one could hear. And I was like, okay, good night, folks. I didn't do comedy again for like 2 years, but I did win the contest.
That sounds like my career as a comedian. But funnily enough, Dennis Carr has asked Joe, "Did you ever fart on the school bus?" Which it kind of that was weird. He asked that as you came out with the fart story on stage, kind of thing.
Yeah, I still do the fart joke today. Crowds go crazy. Everyone's like, "Put the mic behind your butt."
What did Dave Chappelle? Did you get to speak to Dave Chappelle? Did you ask him any advice, or was he just like, did he not speak to any of you lot?
No, I actually never met Dave Chappelle. I did meet Chris Rock early on, actually.
Okay,
funny enough, and I, you know, and I get why Will Smith did what he did. That's all I'm going to say. No, but But no, Chris Rock, very laid back, quiet guy. Just kind of like sat there, and a bunch of like all the new comedians just sort of like surrounded him like vultures, because that's what new comedians do. They're just like they're kind of like zombies, like brain spots. Uh, you know, and so they were all just like around him, and he was just like politely talking shop. And I remember I just kept chiming in with like stupid comments, and for some reason he asked the question, what other like black touring acts were there in the '80s, and I went Little Richard, and he just like smirked at me like idiot. So that was that was my first famous comedian that I met, and I guess I made a weird impression on him. But I was, a jackass.
It's I could only imagine doing stand up. I mean, New York as a city, I should imagine it's so fast paced and cut and thrust. How did you get your feet? Or how do you get your feet under the table, so to speak, on the New York circuit? Is it really cut and thrust? Is it not? I've heard tales about writers from shows sit at the front writing your material down and trying to rip you off and all this kind of thing. Tell us about the dark world of New York stand-up, if you can.
Yeah. So New York comedy is a bloated, out of control, very high schooly scene where there's like all sorts of cliques. When I started, it was like kind of this weird period where like the internet hadn't quite blown up yet. But like the old comedy boom was like long dead. So and what's the problem is, see, I thought you start doing comedy in New York City, and if you're kind of good, someone's gonna see you and just go, "Hey, you've made it." But there's just too many people for that now, and like all the good, agents and managers and whatnot, they've been replaced by people who just don't really know what they're doing anymore. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to get a sitcom if I tell enough jokes about my family. And then, the internet blew up, and which I've gotten pretty good at. I could use a lot more followers, but now you're, instead of trying to like convince a manager or an agent or something that you're good, now you're trying to convince this like magical internet being to show your stuff to strangers. That's
the algorithm.
Yes.
The mythical algorithm. But I checked out check out Joe's links below, his Insta and his YouTube channel. I'll put his TikTok one on later. You went viral on TikTok, sir.
Yeah, although apparently you gotta hit 1 million, but over 500,000, that's pretty viral to me. I'll take it. And of course it was for like the dumbest video that I recorded on the run very quickly, in like 30 seconds. And it was great. And you gotta like build up to that, because you gotta be ready for those waves of insane comments from people, because it's a range of people who are laughing and with you and get the joke, and another people are like, "You're an idiot, shut up, libtard," trying to guess what your political beliefs are. And I'm like, it's just a dumb video about banning bicycles, okay?
The thing is, though, do you not find it's frustrating regarding things going viral? Because the things that you really craft and you think this is good, this is good shit.
Yeah.
You'll get like 200 views, and like you do some bullshit and it gets like hundreds of thousands of views. You just can't. Everybody I speak to who does content, you can't gauge how your material is going to go. And that's more me being a content creator. It sounds like a wanky term. That me put stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because you always think, oh, this is going to go, this is going to smash it, and then it just kind of limps along, and then you just film a carrier bag blowing down the street and you get like 2 million hits. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but at the same time, you have to just, I guess, accept the new reality of it.
it's a very I go on about this a lot, but it's a very sad state of affairs now. All you have to be able to do is get a following, is to be able to draw attention to yourself. You don't need a talent. You could be like 80 stone, rubbing jam in your face, and you get more followers than somebody who's learned to play a classical guitar or so. I've done something proper. But that's where we're at as a species, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, I went, I'm like, and with me, like, I went to school for film. That's literally my diploma right there on the wall. Rotting. It's doing nothing. I've used none of that. It's more useless than algebra at this point.
Is that how you got to know Mr. Will Devaky? Hello, Mr. Will Devaky. If you're watching this, is that the film? How is the connection with Will? How do you know Will?
He better be watching at some point. I don't really know how I knew of Will. We have a lot of mutual friends. He was friends with my girlfriend, actually, and and then he met me, and I think he likes me more, which is fair, you know. So we've only like maybe met in person maybe like 3 or 4 times, but he appeared in one of my short films. I used to be his like on the scene reporter for his movie night thing. You know, and I think he's a big fan of what I do, whatever it is I do. I'm not sure what it is anymore, but he likes it.
Everybody, quite a few people who watch this. Well, I'm waving a pen to make myself look more important. A lot of people who watch this show know about movie night and Will. And incidentally, Will is resurrected movie night. So would you be willing to like dust off your microphone and be the on location reporter for the right price?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna need to renegotiate my contract. That's for damn certain. But I'm open to returning. You know, Will has my number. He knows where to find me, and I know where to find him.
He's found you here tonight, Will. We've got word from the horse's mouth. Mr. Pontillo is ready to spring into. I'm stuttering my shit. I've had too much coffee, Joe. Yeah, we've still got 19 people. I'm embarrassed. I've normally have 40, 50 people, and I don't know what's going on. I think it's me hair. I've not done it tonight. You know,
it's a Tuesday. The Italian name threw them off. Many reasons.
There might be a genuine fear that you have mafia links.
Yeah, well, you know, also the whole, you know, Luigi thing here in the States, that I'm sure has people on edge.
What's Luigi? Sorry, I don't watch the news. Please tell me what this is.
So here we had that's indirectly what the viral video was about. So there was a healthcare CEO that was murdered in New York City.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Yes, and he was murdered by this guy named Luigi, which is right out of The Sopranos. Like, how many people are still named Luigi in 2025? Come on. So, and he's hot. Everybody's like, nobody's really like mad at him. Like, a lot of people are like his fans. They're like, oh, who's he gonna kill next? Which is a bit much, but but yeah, but it's good for Italians because you know, again, there's another thing maybe you're not aware of. We've had a rough few years. New York, we had an Italian governor, and he had to leave office, you know, because he was being a major creep to the ladies, and he went on TV to defend himself, and no joke, he says, "Look, I'm not perverted. I'm just Italian." That I was like, well, that's it for us. We're done for a few years.
It's like Luigi, though. Sounds like a video game character. I don't know. I don't think you can build a video game around that scene. You know, it won't be very tasteful. But has living in New York changed over the years? Has it got a lot? I see you doing a lot of videos and talking about tax rises and this and that. So is it very hard to survive in New York now?
Oh yeah, New York City is very excited. They hate poor people. It's kind of become a weird thing. So like the city, I think to an extent, it's not the gritty New York City of the 80s or 90s, which is fine. Even though I feel like we need a little bit of that. We need a little bit of that grit. I need to have a little bit of fear when I'm walking home at night. But now it's kind of been taken over by, I guess I would say, people who just really want to ride bicycles. That's who kind of taken over New York City. And they want to like turn it into, they basically want to take away what makes New York special. So like they actually just introduced this new thing where if you drive in New York City during a certain time of day, you get charged $9. I don't know what that is in Britain, like 400 pounds or something. But
17 pounds. The system over here is called ULEZ. Clean air zone. Is it clean air zone bullshit?
yeah, that's kind of what they're trying to do. Which
Yeah.
I mean, I like clean air and I hate traffic, but the problem is everything is so expensive that once you get done paying for everything else to live in New York, all you have left is about $9, and I don't want to give more of that to the city. So
it's I've got some questions. Just Bob, one of my members of the channel. Have you ever attended a P Diddy party?
you know what? I must be really good at like vibing with like who sucks. I have never been a fan of Diddy. Never liked this. I was just like, he's this annoying guy who just inserts himself into every popular song to say exactly 3 words that adds nothing to it. And then changing his name every few years. Yeah, that doesn't raise any red flags. So this is a long time coming.
Very similar to the artist Pitbull, who does very little, just wears a suit, sunglasses, and just stands around and fucking.
I can at least laugh at Pitbull, though. I never found anything funny about Puff Diddy, Daddy Combs. What else? Was he Symbol? Oh no, that was Prince. Prince just became a symbol.
He's a symbol now, but certainly for strange things. Just Bob also asked a rather controversial question. Has New York been taken over by illegal immigrants?
Oh my God. No, I wish it was, because I feel like they probably wouldn't be pushing the clean air tax. They would just just be having fun and having parties in the street. That'd be preferable.
Is it true that the New York accent is dying out? You know that what we see on television and there's a New York accent like you've got yourself. Is it true that their accent's dying out, or have I heard that wrong? It's not as prevalent, as strong as it used to be.
Yeah, no, it's dying out because we're importing a lot of our people from the Midwest now, and they don't have accents, so everybody just sounds kind of Midwestern or Southern. And the New Yorkers, it sounds like we're doing fake accents at this point.
It's I think it's the same all over the world, isn't it? The character of the world is like being like homogenized into like a mush of just mediocrity. Character all over the world is dying out. But at least New York still has you up until flying the flag for Italians and comedians.
Yeah, I gotta add those Italian flags back to my car and Forza on the back so everybody knows what's up. But yeah, we are. There's still like the surrounding areas are still very New Yorky, like Long Island and some of the 5 boroughs. I guess New Jersey is almost more New Yorky now, but yeah, it's not what it was.
I'll tell you my New York story. I went to visit Will in Delaware, and I had to get back to JFK to fly back to England, and he came with me. And we only managed to see New York train station, and I managed to my only experience of New York is speaking to an attendant and asking, "Where's the toilet?" And a policeman who was very rude. And I used I'm not going to get graphic. I used a toilet in New York station, train station. That was all I know about New York, but it was very surreal. It was like I was on a film set. Saying, "Hey, over there, buddy."
What are you bothering me for?
Well, the policeman was very unfriendly. Is that a thing in New York?
Yes. You would think they'd be a little more helpful, but you ask them a question and you're just like, "What are you bothering? Why? What? Don't you live here?" I love watching when they're directing traffic and they're doing nothing except causing more traffic. It's great. Yeah, very rude. Nobody wants to help you.
So, going back to what you said before, is it a safe? Well, when we watch a lot of the films, like there's rubbish all over the streets, and there's a mugger with a beanie hat on every corner, kind of thing, and there's always like a woman carrying a brown shopping bag with French loaves in, that gets knocked over in the street. Is it not like that anymore?
I'm trying to bring that back. I really am. I didn't let you have paper bags anymore. But yeah, not. I mean, there's still, questionable things that happen all the time. But the pictures that the movies and maybe even the news paint, it's not really like that. Unless you really want it to be, then you have to go out and commit the crimes yourself. Which I think is good because then it keeps people on their toes. And people have too much confidence now. So I think it's important to bully and intimidate them when they're on the street.
Absolutely. Have you ever been inside the Statue of Liberty?
No, I've never been inside the Statue of Liberty. I did go to Ellis Island.
Okay.
I was on top of the Twin Towers like a year before, that whole thing happened.
So, right, that's interesting. How was New York changed since 9/11?
It's way less cooler since then. I feel like we kind of never recovered. Even the building they replaced it with is very like lame. They call it the Freedom Tower. I don't feel particularly free looking at it.
No. So, whereabouts in New York? Do you live like central New York, or do you live on the outskirts of New York?
I live in Brooklyn, which is right.
Oh, right. Okay, Brooklyn. Like, yeah, I've heard about that. Is there lots of famous? Do you know many famous people? Do you see many famous people floating around?
Yeah, I've got a few sort of famous people that live in my neighborhood, which is always weird. And I've met some famous people, but like I'm not when I see a famous person, I feel like I'm on their level, which is maybe obnoxious. But I'm not the type of person who's just like, oh my God, I love you in Sex and the City. Like that's just not going to be me.
The thing is, everybody, right? Joe Pontillo. I'm a big fan of Joe Pontillo. I'm not blowing smoke up his ass. I enjoy what he does. I think he's very funny. Please, will you subscribe to his YouTube and also his Instagram? The links are below this. Please tell me the links are below this video. Please, can you do that? Don't subscribe to me. I don't care anymore.
You had a good run.
My war's, as Rambo said, my war's over. But basically, am I allowed to say what my favorite joke is of yours? Am I allowed to say it?
Oh, sure.
Do you know the answer? I think you know the answer. Do you know the answer to this one?
I think you mentioned it to me once, but
my favorite joke of yours is you was walking down the street and some homeless guy came up to you and said, "Can I have some change, please? I need to get my children back." And your punchline was, "What, are they in a vending machine?" Was this a real situation that happened?
Yes, except I wasn't walking down the street. I was eating at a fast food restaurant late at night, and some guy just came over to me and my friends and was like, "Can somebody change, quarter, anything?" And we're all just like, "Nah, sorry, dude." And then he just goes, "Man, I'm trying to get my kids back," and just walked out. And we were like, "What the hell is that?"
That is a fun. That I know that the poor man's predicament wasn't funny, but the punchline. That's the thing about comedians. We have quite dark minds, and
yeah. I don't like punching down. Now when I tell that joke, I say something where it's like, yeah, I'd love to give everybody change, but I'm a comedian. I'm like a week or two away from being that guy. So it's kind of a break-even point.
It's true, isn't it? Hello, Bobby. Bobby, the real honest truth. Good evening. Has anybody any questions for the one and only Joe Pontillo? But in the meantime, while they're thinking about these things, are you a traditional comedian in the sense of do you suffer from the tears of a clown? Are you a tortured artist? Although we're getting Joe Pontillo the visage here. Behind that, are you a serious man who's depressed, who suffers from depression, and you know, I'm just
Well, I try to work in like maybe like a few days each month where I just get really sad for no reason.
yeah,
Uh, but mostly like I'm a pretty, I don't know. I think everything's funny. I go out, I'm always, when I'm with friends, family, you know, the police, whoever, I'm always making jokes to the point where it probably drives people insane. But I think life, you should be laughing and making fun of it at all times. I don't suffer from like depression per se or anything. I just want to make people laugh and maybe occasionally think, and possibly improve some lives for like 30 to 40 minutes a night.
yeah. The thing is, though, you're a natural comedian. You have what we call funny bones. That's why a lot of comedians are only funny when they read a script or they have some jokes. And how are you? How are you improvising on stage? Are you quite quick witted? Can you if you're doing your routine and it's bombing? Can you just like divert and do a bit of crowd work, or just make some kind of whatever, make comedy out of what's in the room? Are you good at that?
Oh yeah, I'll make a lot of quick comments about how bad the situation is. I think the only time I maybe could use like an extra second or two to like think of something is like if somebody has ever, it doesn't happen much. Like if somebody heckles or yells something out, I go right to I hate this person. And I don't because you want to make the everybody laugh as you're shutting down the heckler. And sometimes I just go too angry too fast. Like one time, some guy was just like, "Hey, it's a bad joke," and I just went, "Yeah, well, you're a bad father." And the crowd was like horrified by what I said. I was like, "Well, look at his face. I don't know why would a good dad do that, But that's but yeah, I'm normally very quick on my feet. But when I'm on stage, like I'm like I'm in a zone, like I'm doing what I want to do. So if I get like distracted out of that, like my initial reaction is like, "How dare you?" And that's maybe something
You know
I
what?
could be better at.
I on occasion I have lost my temper on stage with that, and I've lost my cool on it. I've blown gigs, because that there's the exchange between hecklers, and as you know yourself, at some point the venue should step in and say, "Look, to be quiet, are you getting thrown out?" And if that doesn't happen, it just becomes like a ping pong match between you and the heckler. Everybody else loses you're out of the gig, and that does happen. So what was your worst ever gig so far? I don't want to like tempt Providence by saying
Yeah.
it's going to happen next, but what was the worst ever gig you did?
Oh, I always go back, and I started telling the story on stage again. The first time I ever got booked to headline, it was at a strip club in New Hampshire, which what a sentence! And there was nobody actually showed up for comedy, and it wasn't like I did comedy and then they, dancing started. Like they interrupted what was happening, and they were like, "All right, guys, we got a comedian coming on stage." And they weren't heckling, they were just sitting there, arms crossed, looking beyond mad at me. And then finally got one guy to kind of chuckle at something. And it was like, "All right, that was a good one." And he threw a handful of change at me on stage. And wind.
The thing is, how can the funniest joke in the world cannot compete with male biology? The power of sex. There is no joke that can combat the male sex drive when they see. I've been in situations like that where they bring a
Right.
stripper, they bring a stripper on, and you're in the you're kind of your set's in the middle of the other stripper, and it's like, "We don't want you here." And then you go to some venues, and then you'll think, why the fuck have you booked a comedian? These the people in this venue don't want, but it's traditional. We do this.
Yeah.
And, have you
Yeah,
ever
wait,
done
how terrible is this gig? And it pays? I'm there. Like
absolutely?
my favorite thing is getting booked for like a private event where again they don't know there's going to be comedy. You know, like one time I was doing a show for I guess they were bankers, and it was like a holiday party, and I showed up, and some guy just leaned over as I was about to go on stage. He goes, "Are you the magician?" And I was like, "Well, not yet. But we'll see how the show goes. May turn into a magic show."
Where you could vanish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just gotta make sure I get a watch before I go.
Absolutely. I've always found that audiences with lots of money are usually pricks. I know audiences with wealthy audiences, in my opinion, are very like, what is this? You know,
Right.
and it's weird. Have you ever done a boxing ring?
No, I haven't done comedy in a boxing ring, but
It's an experience. I mean,
ooh.
I was actually that scared that I felt like I was going to fight. You've got four. You walk into the ring.
Were you opening for a fight, or
Yeah, in the middle? Yeah, basically, you've got a complete audience. Well, you've got four audiences that don't want you there, and if you can get one laugh, you're doing well. And yeah, that's one of the most traumatic gigs I've done, basically. But we've got some questions once again from Just Bob. Does Joe think to break into the mainstream comedy on TV, you have to sell out and buy into a woke agenda, or can you still be true and have free speech?
You know, it's I think now what it is you kind of just, if no one has decided you should be famous for whatever reason they're choosing people to be famous, you just kind of got to do it all yourself. Which is why, though I resisted doing the show for a long time, I was like, screw it, I'm going to do Jimmy's show. Let me get some fans in England. So you just got to do everything. That's why you got to just make content, do podcasts, talk to people you probably hate, and just whatever comes of it. Yay, no.
No, but that is the way now, isn't it? You have to play the game of social media, and if you don't do social media, you technically don't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad. If you ever come off Facebook or you deactivate for a while, you realize that no one cares. No one actually cares that you've gone. You know what I mean? You might get one or two people saying, "Are you all right?" and the rest of the people that.
Yeah. Did you die? You're not posting anymore.
But I suppose that's the way forward now. Would you say that the whole comedy circuit is oversaturated with a lot of people who just want to be comedians and just people who aren't funny?
Yes, it's so oversaturated. Like if you go back to like you know, I guess like the heyday, probably like the 80s and the 90s, or even the 70s, there was like 100 comedians, and then maybe by 2000 there was like a couple of thousand comedians. Now there's probably somewhere between, I'm probably over exaggerating, somewhere between like 50,000 and 100,000 people who consider themselves comedians, and like there's no way all of them are funny. Like a small percent of them at best. And there's no way to stop them. There's no like merit system where you're like, hey, you want to do comedy? Fill out this form, and we'll see if you should do it. There's nothing stopping anyone.
Basically, they should introduce a license system where you were kind of have to go before a board.
Yeah.
You know, like martial artists are graded.
You should have to get that renewed every like 3 or 4 years or something.
You should be graded, and if you don't even pass white belts, actually no, it should just be one. It should just be one kind of level you have to reach, and if you can't reach that, you should just be like took to a camp somewhere and just kept.
Yeah, take them to a separate island, put them on an island where they can roam free, and you know, tell their awful jokes.
Absolutely. But I have another question. Just Bob, hello. Have you ever been removed from a venue for being too offensive to a member of the audience?
No, I don't think so. Off the top of my head, I one time said something kind of ridiculous to somebody in the crowd, and the owners did get very upset with me. And I was like, all right, I'll go apologize. And then I went to apologize to the person. They were like, oh, it's fine. It's a comedy show. And I'm like, thank you. I mean, you completely ruined my performance, but thank you for not being upset that I threatened mild violence on you.
It's awesome. But apart from Seinfeld, who are your influences? Oh,
Um,
the main
I
thing.
go old school. Like I grew up. I sort of I like the old timey comedians, like the Marx Brothers and people like that. And I like more contemporary people too. I guess I actually don't watch a lot of stand up comedy. I never did. I think the person that influenced me, at least performance wise, I don't know if you know Lewis Black.
I don't. It doesn't ring a bell, but I'm going to Google him after this conversation.
Yeah, he's an older guy. He's a political comic, and like I don't really do much political stuff, but I loved his performance style because I'm like he's just angry on stage, and I feel like I just want to be angry on stage, and hopefully it's clear that I'm trying to be funny.
Do you like Rodney? What do you think of Rodney Dangerfield? That kind of. Do you like that kind of style, the one-liners, or is that not really your jam?
I mean, it's nothing I would ever do in real life, but I was a fan of Rodney. I like, one or two of his movies too. I wish somebody like that existed now because he was always very helpful to younger comedians.
He had his own club, didn't he? Was it Dangerfields? And then he got Bill Hicks on and Sam Kinison and a few others. And
Yes,
which
I actually didn't perform at until 2019. And then started to get regular spots at, and then COVID happened and the club went out of business. So
did it actually close?
Yeah, but it's reopened now as Rodney's. Totally different.
Is it more woke now? Is it like a vegan bar?
No, it's exactly. Well, it does kind of look like a vegan bar. I'm not gonna lie, but it's largely the same club. They just like threw blankets over the chairs and the couches and didn't really change much else except made the bar look like a hipster bar.
Do you think with Trump getting in now and his war, and there seems to be a worldwide backlash on woke, do you think this will affect comedy and we'll see more dangerous comedy and like a return to kind of more edgy stuff rather than just like really we don't want to offend anybody kind of shit?
I think people realize that it's time to stop listening to the people who are offended all the time. I feel like for some reason we decided as a society that people who are offended, and I'm not saying there's not bad jokes and bad people who should totally be canceled and or removed from society. Unfortunately, most of them are in power in the entertainment industry and politically. But I think we're going to move away at least a little bit from caring about people being offended. I don't know if comedy will ever go back to like what it was, which is fine because me personally, I think a lot of certain humor is kind of like stupid and lazy. But I'm saying this is more of a storyteller and observationalist and person who kind of tries to make fun of everything, no matter what side it is.
Absolutely. Your style as a comedian is very conversational, isn't it? And observational rather than joke based. And would you say that? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, I as long as there's some kind of punchline somewhere.
I respect that because my kind of stuff, I'm still doing the odd gig. It's kind of like one line of joke based, and I don't feel confident enough to just go off and do a lot of talking and then get a payoff. Yeah. So I take my hat off to you. I think it's quite scary. I think that for me to do the kind of conversational storytelling aspect of things. So fair play. Did that develop over time, or did you from day one? Did you do apart from the fart joke? Apart from that, did you do the same? Did you style?
I think Will Devaky actually stole the fart joke from me.
He based his whole life on the fart joke.
Yeah. I don't like when I started, I feel like I wanted to do a different act on every show, which was insanely stupid. And even to this day, though, like I don't do the same. Like I'll never do my set exactly the same. I think that's boring. Some comedians are very robotic. They sound like they're just reading off a list or talking in a mirror. I try to make every set sound like it's the first time I'm doing every joke or story. But yeah, you don't start telling stories because you don't have the confidence, you know, because when you're new and you start doing a joke or a story and it doesn't get a laugh for like a minute or two, you're like, this sucks and they hate me and they're going to rush the stage any minute. But then as you go further in this business, you're just like, no, I own this shit. This is my stage. This is my time. You know, this is funny and we're going to get there.
That's what I kind of like is with the one-liner and the quick comedy. When you're having a good gig, the laughs are going off like a gun, you know, like gunshots kind of thing. But and when there's that silence, that I find that silence very scary. You
Sure.
know? And just imagine you get to the end of your story. Man, we've all learned the art of dying on stage. There is an art to learning to die on stage. You know, how do you cope? Do you just motor on through your act? Do you sometimes just change tact and just go impro? What do you do?
You know, I try to stick to my act as much as possible, but if they're not, like, I don't like talking to the crowd. I know that's very popular these days, but I feel like people use that as a crutch and they're not, you know, they don't have the skill set to maybe just be like, all right, we don't like these jokes. Here come these jokes. And if you're going to talk to the crowd, like, there needs to be something like funny out of that, not just like, what do you do? What do you do? And then like the audience says something funny. And now, well, now the audience is funnier than you. You've created a horrible situation. So me, I'm just like beating the crowd. It's like prison. You go to prison and you just beat up somebody the first day. And I kind of feel like that's the way. If I ever taught a comedy class, that's how I would teach kids. I'd be like, it's go in there and just attack the audience and make them love you, like right off the bat, because they're judging you the second you get on stage. It's insane.
You just wade straight in and sometimes just throw punches and things like that. Do you never do the referencing thing where such a body looks like an actor or such a body? Do you never do? So you're not big on crowd work. Would you ever employ crowd work?
It kind of depends on the situation, especially if like I've been watching the show and I can like pick out what's wrong with it. And then I'll be like, all right, well, when I get up there, I'm going to point out this dude and point out this lady and just make fun of the venue. And, we'll go from there.
Have you any short clips? People are asking to see a clip of you. Have you any short clips on YouTube what I can show?
Yeah. I got a bunch of, I take advantage of the YouTube shorts. So there's a bunch of stand-up clips and then whatever like sketches are not more than a minute I throw up there too.
Let me look if I can find some. I'm not very good. I'm not very technically. I'm learning to do all this kind of stuff. It's like a 90-year-old woman learning to text.
And yet you made me use StreamYard. So
I know. Sorry. It's at least you didn't have to download anything to your phone. I'm trying to find a clip. Oh, it says you're live now, so that's good.
Oh, there you go.
I'm trying to find a short clip. Can I use how about the Joe Pontillo stand-up comedy reel?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Let's see if we can do this. Now, bear with me. Well, Joe Rogan has some fella helping him. I've not, so it's just me like kind of making it. Oh, I must have watched this before. Okay.
Yeah, you got to yell to like a fake producer you have off to the side.
I just shout him and imagine.
So, somebody, can you give me a clip? I'll do it myself.
Right, let's try and do this. I normally download stuff, but it's hard. If you want to download other people's stuff, YouTube want to kind of charge you. So, right, everybody, right, I'm trying to play Joe's stuff now. Bear with me. Do I actually know what I'm doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Right, wrong button. Just we'll get there, Joe. Don't worry. Right, we're going to watch a little clip of Joe. This is Joe's showreel, hopefully. So let me see if we can do this.
I love this joke.
Leave a comment. You have a package here. Muppets these days. I grew up on like Sesame Street. Yeah, Sesame Street's still on the air after like 50 years, but now they have these new Muppets that all have dark backstories. One of the Muppets, their father is in jail. What the fuck does that have to do to end up in prison? Why is there a penal system on Sesame Street? How does that work? What are you in for? Murder! Waka waka! Download the mobile banking app to your cell phone, and you can just take a picture of the check from your home, and then it'll go right into the bank. And I'm like, can I do that with cash?
My dad always had a god for everything, which was cool. Like, I thought he had like mob connections. Yeah, but when the guy has gotten less cool throughout the years. You know, like when I was a teenager, he was like, "You need tickets to a sporting event or concert? I got a guy." You know, now he's like, "Hey, you need balloons for a birthday party? I got a guy." How low on the mafia totem pole do you have to be to become the balloon guy?
Every time I leave New York City, people are like, is it still out of control? And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. You know, it's a little weird. Like, I just noticed when you go on a bus in New York, the first thing you see is a sign that says, it's against the law to attack the bus driver. Was that not clear? Last summer, I did shows where I performed for kids. And like, it's fun because it's good improv experience, but it's a nightmare because when you ask kids a question, they never stop answering that question. You know, so I'd be like, hey, what kind of pets do you guys have? And they're all like, hey, you're a fish, man. For like 5-7 minutes straight. The only kid you can understand is the one sitting right up front going, I have a pet rock.
But 30,000 people go to Pennsylvania every year to see the groundhog. Insane. Like, barely got 30 people to come to this show tonight. Should have brought a groundhog with me.
Very good, sir. Hang on, how do I get this off now? Fucking hell. Right, how do I remove this now? Let's have
That's my secondary YouTube account. Everyone should subscribe to the other one.
Right, sorry, I put the wrong one. But anyway, the link is below. That's Mr. Pontillo. Blame the imaginary man, the producer of the show. For that.
Damn your fake producer. Damn them to hell.
So you look very experienced on stage. How many gigs have you done?
Oh my God, I stopped counting years ago, but probably thousands. Definitely
Wow.
thousands.
You can tell by the stage presence and the experience and how comfortable you look on stage.
You
So
know,
what-
I think per
Sorry.
year, I think the last 2 years I've done probably around like 200 shows per year, maybe, or a little under.
I don't think I did that in my whole career. You know, I was very lucky.
Well, that explains a lot, but
Thanks, Joe. But what does the future hold for you, Joe, creatively? So you do developing side projects. Is it you do a show called Pontillo and Associates?
oh yes. So I've got 2 YouTube shows. One is the Joe Pontillo Show, which is sort of like a podcast. Sometimes I have guests. Sometimes it's just me talking. Which as much as I love talking to people, sometimes it's just fun to be insane and talk to myself for like 25 minutes. Try to make that get going a little better. And then the Pontillo and Associates is I'm like it started as I was an internet lawyer who people hire me to fight internet trolls. And then I just started doing like different ones. Like I did one about fighting fake news. And then I became more like social media based where I was like, call me and I'll help you get more likes. And now it seems I just mainly try to like rebrand like supervillains for some reason. Like we did one episode where it's like the Grinch, and another one where the Hamburglar is trying to do something, and I did a Halloween one, so that's a fun one. We'll see where that goes.
What do you see with stand up? Are you just staying on? Are you going to stay on the road forever till you can't stand up anymore?
I'm going to stay on the road until I find a new place to live and then just settle down there and leave my New York life behind me. No, because like I enjoy the hell out of like traveling and going on the road and doing stuff, and America's so divided. So, or at least if you watch the news, you think that, but then you travel around the country and you're like, maybe I don't love these people, but like they're mostly like good people, and I like being able to make people laugh of like all walks of life, no matter where they are or how they feel politically. Like I don't give a shit. Like just we're here to have fun. So my ultimate goal used to be I wanted a TV show about my life doing comedy with like family stuff going on in the background. Not a sitcom, maybe more like a really good HBO show or something. But I would settle for just, having a podcast or YouTube show blowing up, or, maybe, I don't know, robbing some banks. That's next.
Or a show about robbing banks on YouTube.
There you go. That would probably like real not housewives, but the secret life of bank robbers. There you go.
Grand Larceny with Joe Pontillo.
Yeah, something like that. I can get on board with. The people would watch that show. People will watch anything. People watch 7 seasons of a show called Finding Bigfoot, and they never found him. So
It annoys me. Do you know what? I've been on YouTube 17 years. I wouldn't say I'm one of the founding fathers of YouTube, even though I look like one. And then some people will fucking build a log cabin in a wood, and you watch the progress every week. Oh yeah, we've just fitted an air vent, and there's like 200,000 subscribers, and fortune. All you have to do is just go in a forest and build something.
Yeah, that's I had to look up a video on YouTube how to like do something on my car, and the guy has like 50,000 subscribers, and I'm like, this idiot should do comedy. He should just like, hey, I'm the mechanic from YouTube. Here you go, come see me.
Yeah, but all we can do, sir, is keep on going on the creative road. The links below are to Joe's Instagram, YouTube. I'm going to fit the TikTok one down there. Please subscribe to him. And he's a talent, he's a funny man. He has good personal hygiene, so I'm told, and he's just an all-round American boy.
Unlike most comedians these days.
Joe, it's been an absolute rare delight to speak to you. I've only waited 3 or 4 years for this.
We should probably do this again sometime.
Please, is there any chance in the future I could be a guest on your Pontillo show? Could you have a word with your producers?
I have the same producers you do. So we'll set up a meeting.
Your people can talk to my people.
Yeah, and we'll never get anything done. If I could figure out how to do that, we'll make that happen.
Joe Pontillo, it's been a rare delight. Thank you for giving me your time. Good night. God bless, and I'll speak to you soon.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jimmy.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.